Tomorrow is the NFL trade deadline, and I'm here to discuss what the Miami Dolphins should do sitting at 2-6. Now, obviously, tomorrow, the NFL trade deadline is the most important thing happening in the country. But in all seriousness, this is a pivotal moment for the Miami Dolphins in terms of the direction that they want to go. Now, reports have come out saying the Dolphins are interested in acquiring players. If anything, they're not looking to move from Calais Campbell. So obviously, it seems the Dolphins have their mind made up at 2-6. Looks like Chris Greer and maybe some coaches are looking to save their jobs by trying to make something out of this season. Now, I do think the Dolphins are going to win a decent amount of games in their remaining schedule. I just don't think they will make playoffs. By my calculations, to make playoffs, they have to either win out or can really only afford to lose one game, which is unrealistic when they have to basically beat everyone between the Rams, Texans, sweep the Jets, Packers, 49ers. Like, they're not going to win out. That's just my take on it. So I think what they should do is to trade players that are on the last year of their deals that they don't intend on re-signing. So that means Javon Holland.
He did not just... Did you just say that?
If the Dolphins think they want to re-sign Javon Holland, then don't trade him away. Keep him in-house. It makes it easier to extend him. You have the leverage of the franchise tag. So don't trade Javon Holland if you plan on extending him. But if you plan on moving on from him, why not trade him? Unless you're confident that you can work the compensatory formula to get a third, fourth round pick from that, but that means you don't plan on spending in free agency. But if you don't expect to do that, then trade him and get assets now, because if you're going to let him walk, there's no point in not trading him. Calais Campbell is the only other candidate I could see being moved, because the NFL trade deadline, everyone wants to move players on the last year of their deal, but let's be real. It is difficult for an NFL player to get traded from to a different team and have success because of the scheme changes and all of the things that take place. So sometimes people think that you can trade kind of a role player and get anything back, when like a good player like Josh Uche, I think, went for like a sixth. So these players don't go for a lot of resources. So I really think the only players that the Dolphins could look to trade: Javon Holland, Calais Campbell, and then if they really want to break the NFL, Tyreek Hill. I don't see that happening, especially with the reports that the Dolphins are looking to not even trade Calais Campbell. But what I think the Dolphins should do is to trade these players that they don't intend on keeping, like Calais Campbell, get a fourth, fifth round pick, and just let these young guys play. Because like I said, I think this season is over. Let these young guys play, develop, and see what you have, and then retool in the offseason. So letting players like Cam Smith get run. He hasn't looked great, but he's also in his second year and didn't play at all last year. Letting maybe even Channing Tindall get a run. Letting who else is young? Chop Robinson's obviously already getting some run by design of the injuries. Muhammad Kamara. Just let these young guys play. We're not going to compete for the playoffs this year. Just unfortunate from the hole we've dug ourselves in. But this is a high caliber team. We saw it yesterday. Like, this team is really good. It's just unfortunate the hole they dug themselves into. Projecting the roster forward, this offense really doesn't take a hit at all next year. You could basically carbon copy this offense next year, and I think this offense is the best it's been under Mike McDaniel's era. I know we went off last year, but as everyone likes to know, it was only against bad teams, and I think the Dolphins have unlocked, with the running game, a way to actually beat good teams. They did it against the Bills yesterday, and I think that's the formula going forward. If teams want to play the two high safeties, you run the ball down their throat and do the quick passing game. So I think the Dolphins have finally unlock the way to beat teams in multiple ways, including those good teams. The next level to that is the defense. The defense should be better than what it is. I think Anthony Weaver's been hamstrung by injuries, which I understand they happen, but to happen to your two-star edge rushers, like, it's hard to overcome in his first year as defensive coordinator. I liked a lot of what the scheme brings, but like I said, he just can't get base pass rush with his current guys. So I think another year in the system, I think retooling the defense, because the Dolphins have assets. They can make moves to add players to this defense. And I think with this current offense, which isn't losing much, I really think the Dolphins can become Super Bowl contenders. Obviously, the expectation was this year. I think with our injury luck, it's just not. That's what derailed everything, because I think your defense is a lot better with a healthy Jalen Phillips. If Tua doesn't miss 4 games, the Dolphins are right in the thick of it right now. So it's just unfortunate, but I think they should look to trade these players, get assets, let the young guys play, take their lumps, retool in the offseason. But it seems like the Dolphins are standing pat, which I kind of disagree with, because I don't think they actually have a chance. Allow Calais Campbell, a tremendous human being and football player, to compete for a Super Bowl. which is unfortunately not in the Dolphins' card. But I want to say, if the Dolphins don't sustain the Tua injury, just the Tua injury, they're in the thick of it, competing for a playoff spot. If they don't sustain the Jalen Phillips injury, I think they're competing for a Super Bowl. It's just unfortunate that things happen, but I don't think this team is far off. That's why I think calling for firings is unnecessary. Even Greer, but I'm not gonna go to bat for Greer. But McDaniel definitely should not be fired. But that's my thoughts. Comment your thoughts, what you want to see the Dolphins do at the trade deadline. My thing is trade these veterans on the last year of their deal, get what you can, and look to retool in the offseason. But it doesn't seem the Dolphins are doing that way. But comment your thoughts down below. Like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Until next time, fins up.